Hello everyone. Today we're going to be printing this triangle pattern. If you have been following me since past 2 days, you should already know how to print this. But if not, I'm gonna teach you in easy way. All right, let's get started. So if you ever see this kind of triangle pattern, you should remember nested loops. Nested loop is a thing that is basically a one or more loops, and then there will be outer loops, and then there will be inner loop outside one and then inside one. So how do we print these pattern with the nested loop? First we have to identify how many rows are here in this pattern. So let's see how many rows are there in this pattern. Okay, this first one is in first row, second row, third row, fifth row. So I can see that there are five number of rows. So I'm gonna write that right here. So we have five number of rows, and then I think we also have the same number of column, that is five, because these all ones are in first row. These all ones, sorry, in first column, and then all these two in second column, all these three in oh my bad, I'm so sorry. I think it's only four. Sorry about that. Okay, so there are just four rows and then four columns. These all ones are in one column, twos are in second column, and these all threes are in third column, and our four is in fourth column. So we can see that our row is directly proportional to the number of columns. It is just we just have to identify how many columns are printing in each section. All right, so I will start writing the pseudocode of this pattern so that you can better understand it, and also I will dry run this program so that you have a better idea. I'm just gonna turn this slightly on the left side so that we can have a better spacing on the middle to explain the pseudocode. Okay, I'm gonna write pseudocode here. Pseudocode basically is a mix of human readable code and then the machine code. It's a mix up. All right, so we just identified that we have four rows. So we will write that is a for loop. We will start with one, and then in fact we can start with zero, and then we're gonna go till four, and then we will just increment our I value. All right, okay. So this loop will run for four times. Starts with zero and then it's gonna end to three. So if we start from 0, 1, 2, 3, it's gonna be fourth time. And then in each row, every every index represents uh, these row. First 0 represents this row, second represents second, 1 represents this row, 2 represents this row, and then third 3 represents this fourth row. All right, so what are we printing in each row is the question. So that is going to be determined by our inner loop. Okay, so how do we identify what to write inside the loop? For that, we have to analyze carefully what is being constant and what is variable. So I can see that in our first column, or you can say this row, it's printing 1. And as soon as the inner loop finishes, we are printing 1 and 2. So that means our outer loop is being constant for a time being, and then our inner loop is incrementing each time. So basically we are just printing the value of our iterator, or we can say the inner loop. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about right here. Okay, for integer j, since our value is starting from 1, you can see it here. I'm also going to start it with 1, and then I'm going to go till fourth time, because no, it's not going to be 4. It's going to depend on value of I. If that's the case, I have to do 1 here and then do less than equals 4 so that it matches perfectly. Okay, it's good now. All right, so I will quickly explain what I just wrote it right here. Okay, So since the reason I erased 0 and initialized it 1 is because our inner loop depends on outer loop. Since our column is only 1 for the first row, we have to uh, loop in such a way that our independent this j uh, inside variable is dependent of outside I, because uh, let's say there are like, let's say I have to print elements for the third row, right? We are just printing third three elements, so we have to depend our j to I. Okay, as I already said that we are just printing the value of j inside it, and then I'm just gonna write it this, and then I'm gonna write end of line, so that after this inner loop finishes, our next line will be printed, and then the following output will print itself in the next line. Okay, so if you are having any difficulties understanding this code, I will simply dry run this code so that you can have a better idea of what I just did right here. Okay, let me quickly dry run this. If you are wondering what is the full form of dry, it is do not repeat yourself. Okay, let's dry run here. Initially, our value of I is 1, right? This is our outer loop. Let me write that one here too so that you can understand it better. Outer loop. So for the value of I that is 1, outer loop, the loop will go inside of the another loop, and then right there our value is, sorry, our value is j, and j also starts from 1. And then for before going to the inner loop, the condition should be checked here. Since i's value is 1, it's gonna check itself with its condition, that is 1 less than equals 4. Since this condition is true, our inner loop will start running, and then in here too our value is initialized with 1, and then it's gonna test itself with the value of I, that is 1. So it is saying, is 1 less than equals 1? Yeah, that's right. If that's the case, we will be printing our j value, right? So for the output, I'm gonna be writing output right here. Okay, since we just printed j value, our output is printed with 1. Okay, if that's the case, the value of j will be incremented and it's gonna be 2. Okay, if that is 2, the condition should be checked again. Is 2 less than equals 1? No, that is not the case. If that's not the case, then the inner loop will not be able to run again because the value doesn't match, and then it will go outside of its bound, and then it will print the new line right here. Okay, after that our I think I should write inner loop here so that you all can better understand which loop I'm running. Okay, this is our inner loop. Since the outer loop is finished running, our value will be incremented by 1 for the value of I, and then that is going to be 2, and it's gonna test again, is 2 less than equals 4? Yeah, that is right. If that's right, then the outer loop will go inside the another inner loop for the value 2. Okay, at this time our value will be reinitialized to 1 again. The reason we started j with 1 is because in every row, for each row, whatever the value of row is, our value always starts from 1. That's why it is 1 here, because this inner loop is dependent of our outer loop, right? So we have to initialize it with 1 so that it gets reinitialized again, and in every line it starts with 1 again. Okay, after that it's going to test itself with the value 2. Since 1 is less than equal to 2, if this condition meets, our inner loop will be executed, and that is the value 1 will be printed. Okay, now it's going to increment the value of j with 1, and that will be 2. So it's going to check again with the condition, is j less than equals I, that means it's 2 less than equals 2. That's right. If that's the case, we will be printing our j value. Since j is already incremented to 2, now we will just print the value 2. As you can see here, with just in dry run, we're matching our first row and then second row. Okay, it looks like everything we are doing is great. After that, the value of j will be incremented to 3. Now it will test again because the condition should be checked again, but at this time the condition doesn't meet our goal, so the loop won't run again, and then it will print a new line, and then it will go back to I, and then it will increment the value with 3. Now it's going to check again, is 3 less than equals 4? Yes, that is right. If that's the case, then we'll reinitialize our value to be 1. Then it's going to again say, is 1 is less than equals 3? If you're wondering where is this value coming from, this is this part, j less than equals I. Since we reinitialized our value of j to be 1, and then our 3 is constant for this inner loop, and then it's going to be 3. Okay, this condition is going to satisfy, and if that's the case, we will be printing 1 in our third line. After that, the value of j will be incremented to 2, and then it's going to check again if 2 is less than equals 3 or not. This condition will satisfy. If that's the case, we will be printing 2 in our new line. Okay, after that we will increment the value of j with 1 more, and that will be 3 less than equals 3. That condition also satisfied, and then also our value is printed with 3. Again, we will increment the value of j with 1. At this time, this is 4, and then we will check if 4 is less than equals 3. This condition doesn't satisfy. If this condition doesn't satisfy, our inner loop will go out of its bound, and then it doesn't print anything. Okay, now our value of I is right here, and then it's incremented to 4, and then we will check the condition again if I is less than equals 4 or not. Since I value is already 4, this is going to be the last iteration of our outer loop, and then 4 is less than equals 4, that is right. So we will again go inside the inner loop and then reinitialize our value to be 1. At this time, our value is started again with 1, and then it's gonna test for 4 times. Since the value, this will be satisfied for 4 times, uh, I'm just gonna quickly write it down right here, the output. All right, so initially it will be printed 1. After that, our value of j will be incremented to 2, and then tested again with I. That is gonna be right, and then we'll print 2 again. The value of 2 will be incremented to 3. Condition tested again, that is right, and then we will print 3. Again, our value will be incremented by 1, that is 4. Since 4 is less than equals 4, we will print the value 4 right here again. Okay, all right, after that, our value of j will be incremented to 5, but at this time, since our condition doesn't meet, the inner loop will go out of its bound, and then the new line will be printed. And then at this time, the value of I will be incremented to 5. But our condition doesn't meet at this time because I is less than equals 4. That doesn't meet because I's value is already incremented to 5. All right, so if that's the case, the outer loop won't be running. Since outer loop is not executing, the control won't go to the inner loop also, and then it's gonna go out of its bound, and it won't run anything. The program execution will stop here, and then we will have our beautiful output that perfectly matches with our uh, perfectly matches with our initial output that we had written here. All right, this is how you write the triangle pattern by identifying number of rows and number of columns, and then by dry running like this. If you have any doubt right here, you can repeat the video and then watch it very slowly so that you can better understand it. If you have any questions regarding these kind of problems, you can just comment down. I will reach out to you as soon as possible. All right, I'm just gonna make sure by writing this code in C++, and then we will see the output together. All right, let's jump into the base code. All right, I'm back in base code, so we will just write the code that we printed right there. I less than equals I plus plus, and then our inner loop will also start from 1, since it has to start from 1 in every inner loop, or every row we say, or we can say column. and then j value is tested against I every time, and j will be incremented by 1. In every inner loop statement we are just printing the value of j with a space, and then after that we will print it in a new line. All right, if you just run this code, it should give you the answer. So as you can see here, our successfully we have just completed writing the code. I wanna talk about generalizing the solution for every number that you enter. So let's say I'm just printing fourth line right here because I have explicitly stated that there are only 4 iterations. But what if I will test it with more generalized concept? I mean, I can enter any number and then the output will be printed. For that, we have to initialize our value outside. Let's say I'm gonna print 10 rows, which is basically gonna start from 1, and then in each row it's gonna increment its value by 1, and then it's gonna print from 1 to 10 in the last row. All right, let's see how this goes. All right, as you can see here, it has successfully printed this beautiful big triangle pattern with generalizing the formula. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you learned something from this video. The key to success in these kind of problems is to practice, and repeat more and more. I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care. Thank you very much.